Before it was interrupted by Gene Roddenberry, Captain Picard and Dr. Crusher were nearly romantically involved in the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry halted the romance between Dr. Beverly Crusher, Gates McFadden, and Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, before it was set to begin in Season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. There was obvious tension between Captain Picard and Beverly Crusher from the moment they first crossed paths in the series premiere of Star Trek: Next Generation. The USS Enterprise D crew members' loss of inhibitions due to polywater intoxication in TNG Season 1, Episode 3, The Naked Now, further fueled this fire. Although neither Captain Picard nor Dr. Crusher came out and said it, there were clues of possible sentiments developing between them during the remainder of TNG's turbulent first season. Episode 21, The Arsenal of Freedom, from Season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation, takes place in a subterranean chamber where Jean-Luc and Beverly get imprisoned after falling into a hidden hole. Dr. Crusher's injuries sustained in the fall necessitate her mentoring Picard in the treatment of her own wounds. Beverly is kept awake and talking by Jean-Luc's probing questions about her background, and the two form a relationship over their common situation. As written, these sequences don't disclose anything new about the couple's relationship, but that wasn't always the plan. Despite spending the whole length of TNG twirling around one another, Captain Picard and Dr. Crusher were never able to nail the perfect moment to pursue a love connection. Nonetheless, Beverly would have revealed her affections for Jean-Luc in the first season of TNG if Star Trek writer Robert Lewin had his way. The Arsenal of Freedom was reportedly rejected by Gene Roddenberry when it was planned as a romantic comedy between Crusher and Picard, as stated in Star Trek: The Next Generation companion. Although Captain Picard was severely hurt in the original plot, Dr. Crusher ends up hurt in the real episode. She was going to tell Picard how she felt about him as she battled to preserve his life. Their Star Trek romance would have progressed much more quickly and dramatically if this had happened. It would seem that Roddenberry had little interest in creating a romantic comedy and was also keen on keeping the TNG crew as they were. Television series back in the 1960s, when Star Trek, the original series, first aired, were typically episodic, with plot points that didn't change much from one episode to the next. Roddenberry continued to fight against any substantial character growth or changes that would last more than a few of episodes, even though the television industry was undergoing a transformation in the late 80s and early 90s. The Next Generation companion reports that fleas contaminated the subterranean sand, making Patrick Stewart and Gates McFadden's shooting of those sequences very unpleasant. Season 3 of Star Trek: Picard brought back the USS Enterprise D crew, including Dr. Beverly Crusher and Admiral Jean-Luc Picard. In Season 3 of Picard, Picard and Crusher reconnected, and Beverly disclosed that she and Jean-Luc had a son, Jack Crusher, Ed Spaliers, more than 20 years before. Due to Picard's reluctance to establish a family and the many threats to his life, Beverly made the difficult decision to raise Jack alone.